Disclaimer, please don't count on me making another video like this, ever again. To all my new viewers, first off, I want to thank you all for checking out this video. It really does mean a lot to me. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this just isn't the kind of content that I put on this channel. But this is something that I really do care about, and it's why I decided to put this video up today, so enjoy.
Meme review!
There's no question about the impact memes have had on pop culture, especially over the recent years. With the internet and social media, memes are spreading and changing now more than they ever have before, and in many ways, they're a reflection of how society has evolved as well. But this in itself poses a far more interesting question, and I want you guys to think about this throughout the entirety of the video. What is a meme?
If you ask 100 people, you're likely to get 100 different answers.
Now, obviously, you could go the easy route and Google the definition of what a meme is, and while I think the Webster's definition got the gist of it, I think the esteemed meme connoisseurs at Urban Dictionary had a better definition for what a meme is. But honestly, I don't think the Urban Dictionary quite hit it on the nose either. But that brings up another point. If we're looking for the definition of a meme, why not turn to the guy who literally coined the phrase? The term meme was first used in Richard Dawkins' best-selling novel, The Selfish Gene, and when asked about it, Richard Dawkins gave his definition of what a meme is, and it's far more broad than Webster gave us. The way Dawkins describes it, memes encompass more than just images and videos, and they can take a variety of forms ranging from an idea, skill, behavior, or fashion. I'm no Richard Dawkins, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I'm going to give my take on what I think the definition of a meme is, but I want you to keep this definition in your head for the duration of the video, because I want you to come up with your own definition. But if we're going to find a definition of what a meme is, we're going to have to gain a better understanding of what memes actually are. To do that, we're going to study the evolution of memes. Now, we have a lot of material to cover in this video, so to make it easier for both you guys and myself, I decided to split the material up into 7 different categories. It's impossible to do every category justice in the span of just one YouTube video, but I will try my best.
Wait a minute, cut this shit.
Man, what you gonna do now?
What we're gonna do right here is go back.
How far you going back?
Way back.
As we go a little something like this. Hit it!
I'm not going to tell you that there were no memes before 1946 because I don't think that's true, but because this was the earliest concept I could find that remotely resembles what people define as a meme, it's going to be the first I'm going to go over. The meme I'm talking about is Kilroy Was Here. The origins of Kilroy Was Here are largely unknown, but the popular narrative today is that it originated from Army serviceman James J. Kilroy, who worked at a steel shipyard in Massachusetts during World War II. His job was to inspect tanks and hulls of warships, and when some of his co-workers told him to inspect the tanks with him, they didn't believe James when he told them that he already inspected them. So he marked the tanks he inspected with the phrase, "Kilroy was here." What happened next is up in the air, but somehow the phrase spread fast to the point that it became a symbol of graffiti throughout the European theater, and it became synonymous with American GIs in World War II. Perhaps the ballsiest move was that someone literally wrote the meme "Kilroy was here" out on one of the bathroom stalls at the Potsdam conference, and Stalin literally saw the meme when going to one of the facilities and came out pissed because he didn't know who Kilroy was, and obviously because there was no internet and there was no way to clarify, people thought that Kilroy was a spy. Even back then, Stalin himself was being a meme before memes even existed.
Everywhere I go, every place I turn, even in here.
With no internet and meme BCE, trends and memes typically stuck to more tightly knit groups and spheres of influence, and while some memes like the Universal S and Kilroy were to break that trend, memes had yet to fully evolve until we know today. The primary medium for memes to spread was television, radio, magazines, and word of mouth. It's important to recognize that the Cold War hit its peak during this period, and a lot of events that transpired in meme BCE provided a lot of material for memers to work off in later eras. You might be familiar with this meme, but the next meme I'm going to talk about is the Universal S. I'm not going to go in depth about this meme because I want you guys to go watch Lamino's video where he talks about the Universal S. The Universal S is widely regarded to be a meme, but it doesn't fit any of the definitions, whether ironic or unironic, that we glanced over at the beginning of the video. Lamino also brought up Richard Dawkins' definition of what a meme is, and in many ways, if you're going by that definition, then yes, the Universal S is a meme. But I think it's more than that. The Universal S has had an incredible impact on pop culture, and while by itself it might not necessarily be funny, it was, and still is, a significant cultural phenomenon. Despite having no internet, no mainstream media presence, the Universal S managed to spread more than Kilroy did, and it managed to stick around longer than Kilroy did. I'm not going to take anything away from Kilroy because it was significant for its time, and even though Kilroy was the first meme, it would not be fair to give Kilroy the nomination for best meme of all time. As such, I'm giving that nomination to the Universal S. By my standards, the Universal S has won the best meme of meme BCE.
Next meme. Okay, so
Remember the 90s? The 90s were so much better. Everything was better in the 90s.
Every 90s kid will tell you that the 90s was the best decade of all time. While I think that's a pretty subjective statement, I do think the 90s was a pretty interesting time for pop culture. The Chicago Bulls were the best team ever, Power Rangers was good, Nintendo was relevant, Nickelodeon wasn't a bunch of lazy sitcoms, Pokemon was at its peak, the Dallas Cowboys were good, Dragon Ball Z was on air, and of course you had dial-up internet. But most importantly, the 90s saw the evolution of memes. Exploration Wave memes didn't have the advantage of having super popular websites and apps. Instead, they used other means of communication like email, chat rooms, old message boards, and predecessors to YouTube like Newgrounds. The Exploration Wave also saw the rise in popularity of video games, with consoles becoming more mainstream. It's apparent that video games were an integral part of pop culture back then, and I mean, who can blame them? It actually is pretty interesting because even almost 30 years later, video games are just as big now as they were back then. With memes largely stemming from the internet and video games, memes started transitioning into the younger generations. Kilroy was a meme for soldiers in World War II, the Universal S and Exploration Wave memes are more targeted towards younger audiences, and that younger audience has been the core group for memes ever since then. No disrespect to the folks at Sega and Sony because I know they are successful too, but Nintendo released a slew of successful games during this period, and even as someone who has never played Legend of Zelda, there's no denying the impact that it's had on the gaming community. Legend of Zelda is arguably one of the greatest game series of all time, and the innovations it made forever changed the gaming landscape, and it redefined what an RPG is. The next thing I'm going to talk about is arguably one of the best shows ever made, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Sure, sitcoms come and go, but the same can't be said for Fresh Prince. It's an icon. It's what defined an entire generation, and even today, most people that I talk to know about Fresh Prince despite being off the air for over 20 years. Now we're getting into memes that y'all might know. The Dancing Baby is 3D rendered animation made in 1996, and it was one of the first viral videos in the second half of the 1990s. After getting released to the public, internet users were able to render the animation and spread it to others through CompuServe,
HanSolo64 at CompuServe.com. Yes, CompuServe.
internet forums, and boom, you got yourself the internet's first viral meme. Peanut Butter Jelly Time is another animation that went viral. It was posted to the Off Topic forums in early 2002, and from there it got a lot of attention from TV shows like Family Guy and Ed.
There you go, there you go, there you go, there you go.
For who gets the nod to become the candidate for best meme of all time, it's pretty much a mix-up between Nintendo, Fresh Prince, Peanut Butter Jelly Time, and Dancing Baby. I know there were a few other suitable candidates like Microsoft coming out with Halo 1 and Halo 2, but rest assured Halo will make another appearance later in the video.
You look nice.
Thank you.
Now, right away, it's pretty easy to take down Dancing Baby and Peanut Butter Jelly Time. I know that Peanut Butter Jelly Time and Dancing Baby probably fit the mold for what most might define to be a meme, but again, we're probably going to go with Richard Dawkins' definition, at least for the duration of this video until I come up with my own definition. But honestly, when you think about the 90s, you don't think about Dancing Baby, you think about video games and Fresh Prince. If I could give 2 nominations for this era, I'd give it to both of them without hesitation, but perhaps it comes down to my bias because I never played a Nintendo console, but I'm gonna have to give the nod to Fresh Prince here. It talked about things that needed to be talked about when no one else would, and Will Smith's story is, unfortunately, something that a lot of people, even today, can relate to. Will Smith is not a perfect person, nor does he try to be. He makes mistakes, he does stupid shit, but he learns from them, he develops, and he grows up, just like we do. Fresh Prince made us laugh, made us cry, and it made us grow up. And it grew up with us. The point is, Fresh Prince was a great show, and if you haven't seen it, watch it. Sure, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air might not match your definition of what a meme is, but when you look at the impact it's had on pop culture and all of the meme-worthy content that's come from this show, how is it not a meme? With that being said, I'm giving Fresh Prince the nomination for Best Meme of All Time and the Meme of the Era Award.
Alright, so here we are in front of the elephants. And the cool thing about these guys is that they have really long fronts, and that's cool.
Oh god, so much to go over here. When YouTube was first made public in 2005, it took the internet by storm. It became a site where so many creators and people could all come together to put themselves on the internet. There were obviously other video websites before YouTube, but it goes without saying that none of them were even close to the scale that YouTube reached. To many people, this was the golden age of YouTube. You were at a sweet spot where YouTube was small enough not to shill for big budget corporations that you'd see in the years to come, but it was big enough to have a plethora of content creators out there to entertain you, not necessarily for money, but because it was fun. It's why I decided to name this era the broadcast era. It's because back then the term YouTube, broadcast yourself, actually meant something. And it's because literally it was you broadcasting yourself. That was the content you saw. Skits, clips, short videos, individual people with cheap cameras and homemade videos just putting themselves out there for the world to see. It paved the way forward for not just content creators but for memes as well. The internet in 2007 was still fairly young, and while it had definitely changed since the exploration wave, having internet breaking memes were exceedingly rare before YouTube. When YouTube was made, having such a massive platform through which millions of people came and went every single day was an absolute game changer. The content on YouTube and broadcast wave was more personal, it was more real, and everyone had the potential to go viral. You saw people like Numa Numa, Afro Ninja, Charlie Bit My Finger, Dramatic Gopher, Star Wars Kid, Chocolate Rain, and so many others that became worldwide phenomenon because of YouTube. Also, you know those really terrible text-based love stories with a ton of spelling errors and sappy sad music in the background? Yeah, that was also a thing during this era. But it is pretty funny looking back on these videos because of how terrible they are, but you know what? This was YouTube, so I appreciate it all the same. But as big as YouTube was, it wasn't the only source for memes for this era. Edgy and dank memes didn't exist yet, but the closest thing it had was South Park and Family Guy. These two shows are really influential for the times, and they're still running even today. I'd argue that both shows peaked already, but that isn't to say they're not still good shows. Anyways, while both shows had more than their fair share of dark humor, it was South Park that really pushed the narrative forward. South Park didn't pull any punches and didn't care about what anyone had to say about it. The show thrived off controversy, and it's why it was so popular, especially with younger audiences. Just like how Elvis was controversial in his era, NWA was controversial in their era, The Simpsons was controversial in their era, so too was South Park. Other than that, memes from the mid to late 2000s are pretty simple and follow a lot of the same formats. It's during this era that the iconic top text, bottom text, impact font format dominated memes. As you've seen already, animals played a really prevalent role in memes in the early 2000s. Cute animals have remained a consistent part of meme culture for years now, and even though the formatting is different and some changes have come and gone, the general idea is still the same. Animals are a big part of memes back in the 2000s, and they still are today. You also can't forget about Nickelodeon, who made a lot of success during this era. I probably could have brought up Nickelodeon the exploration wave, and while you could make a fair argument for that, I'd be leaving out Avatar. I think SpongeBob and Fairly OddParents went their peaks in the exploration wave, but again, Avatar. I don't think much needs to be said about these shows because Obviously, anybody with a childhood should have watched at least one of these three. There have been a ton of videos breaking down just how awesome Avatar is, so I'm not going to go into Avatar, but yeah, Avatar really was one of the best shows ever made. The broadcast wave also saw the rebirth of the console wars between Xbox, PS3, and Wii. Call of Duty and GTA were great games, but in all honesty, the game that dominated this era the most was Microsoft's own Halo 3. Guitar Hero 3 also deserves some recognition as well, and as a guy who still has Guitar Hero 3, I can safely say that it's also a good game, but the Halo trilogy's impact on gaming industry was on par with Legend of Zelda. Now, you're probably asking,
Tyler, Bungie made 2 Halo games in the Exploration Wave, and Halo 2 is better than Halo 3.
well, two things. One, Halo 2's campaign was better than Halo 3's, yeah, I'll admit that, but overall, the two are both 10 out of 10 games. But the key factor for why I chose to have Halo represented in the broadcast wave was because YouTube was in it, and when I'm talking about YouTube, obviously, you and I both know I'm talking about Machinima. Yeah, Machinima was actually really popular back then. If you were a gaming YouTuber or you wanted to watch gaming videos, Machinima was the place to go. Halo 3 dominated the industry in its heyday, and it's largely because of Machinima and YouTube creators. This was the flagship program for Microsoft, and it was a huge thorn in the side for Sony.
You just got banned, motherfucker!
In Riverside.
North of the border, bitch. Tell me where you live.
You're calling us fucking border hoppers? You're like right there by the border, you little bitch.
Alright y'all, we've reached the end of broadcast era. We're 20 minutes in, so we're gonna take a brief intermission. Congrats, y'all got rickrolled in 2020. I mean, honestly, who takes intermissions in the middle of a YouTube video? Like, if you actually expect me to do that, you walked right into that one. I am sorry, but it's true. In all seriousness, though, there's no doubt that the broadcast era had tons of really qualified meme material, especially from the golden age of YouTube, but I think you and I both know that not giving Rickroll the nod for best meme of the broadcast era would be a crime. If you didn't get Rickrolled at least once in your time on YouTube, you did not get the full YouTube experience. It really pisses you off when you first see it because you realize you've been clickbaited, but in all seriousness, Rickroll has a really strange charm to it, where no matter how many times I see it, I can't help but smile. With that being said, while it really isn't a close call, Rickroll gets the nod for being the best meme of the broadcast era and the nomination for best meme of all time.
Maybe he's gonna give us a reward!
Like spaghetti!
Or an oversized meatball!
Actually, I'm just gonna eat you. See you at dinner.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier.
My name is Pound Pie.
Top of the morning to you laddies. My name is Jacksepticeye and
hey, what's up guys? Blasphemous HD on the mic.
The Renaissance wave is largely characterized by the evolution of social media. Facebook and MySpace started becoming obsolete, and eventually they paved the way for apps like Snapchat and Twitter. But most importantly, the key evolution of the Renaissance wave was that the source of memes slowly began to transition from YouTube and turn into what I call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: Reddit, Tumblr, 4chan, and iFunny. These all became the primary sources for memes during the Renaissance wave, and they went well into the dank meme era, with iFunny eventually being replaced by Instagram. While the 4 horsemen dominated meme culture, that isn't to say they got along. The Tumblr vs 4chan war of 2014, even though it was only one day, also occurred during the Renaissance wave, and thankfully one of the most cancerous sites on all of the internet was soundly defeated by the brave soldiers of 4chan, but little did we know that this civil war between two of the 4 horsemen would sow the seeds for what would occur a few years down the line. On the image macro side of things, memes made during this era started to fit the definition of what the Urban and Webster's Dictionary define as memes. The Renaissance wave saw a transition from broadcast wave memes and set the tone for what they'd eventually turn into in the dank meme era. Starter pack memes started coming up, Shrek started becoming a thing again, and MLG compilations started turning up. The biggest evolution during the Renaissance wave was the creation of iFunny. With iFunny entering the scene, it pretty much put the nail in the coffin for broadcast wave memes. The old viral sensations that found a home on YouTube back in 2006 and 2007 were obsolete, and with meme making apps becoming more readily available to the public, it was now easier to make memes more than ever before. Top text, bottom text, impact formats were swept aside and made way for the new iFunny format, which offers a sleeker and less visually intruding look to them. Some exceptions to this new format carried on and left their mark in the meme community after 2011-2012, like Overly Attached Girlfriend, Bad Luck Brian, and Grumpy Cat, but these memes are few and far in between, and by 2014, the impact font had died completely. Grumpy Cat is a particularly interesting case because it shows that even in the Renaissance era, animals still played a prevalent role in memes, and this role continued well into the dank meme era. While iFunny was dominating picture memes, YouTube still had monopoly over video memes. Epic Sax Guy, Friday, Nyan Cat, and Double Rainbow all went viral, and they were all made during the Renaissance wave. If you wanted to make a video meme, YouTube was the way to go. That was until 2013. When Vine hit the App Store, it blew every other mobile sharing app out of the water. In the span of just a few months, Vine was one of the internet's biggest sensations and quickly rose to the top of the App Store. Vine had become so big that the content was almost as expansive as YouTube's, even with a 6-second limit. For the 4 years it was up, even with stout competition from Snapchat and Instagram, Vine was really the prevalent source for memes. But in the end, not even Vine could top what YouTube had released the year prior.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style is a Korean rap song made by Psy. The video was uploaded in July 2012, and in the span of just a few months, it blew up and never looked back. Despite being a foreign song, it gained a ton of traction on the platform and eventually became the first video to ever hit 1 billion views in the span of just 6 months. A few years later, it hit 2 billion. Gangnam Style quickly became the most viewed video on YouTube and didn't even have a competitor until 2015. Gangnam Style spawned an entire movement that dominated 2012, and not even the Harlem Shake, as impactful as it was, could top it. It made its way into YouTube Rewind, and even today, its impacts are still showing. But on a more serious note, I know that it probably isn't my place to say this because I'm not a member of the community, but one thing that I do find interesting is that the LGBTQ community, or as Birdman likes to say,
LGBTQRSTUV LMNOP,
gained a lot of traction during this period, and topics that at one point were taboo to talk about, like gay marriage and sexuality and depression, spearheaded by the incredibly controversial YouTuber Onision.
So no, assholes are not why people keep killing themselves. People who keep killing themselves are why people keep killing themselves.
Became mainstream topics of discussion and showed up in pop culture media and memes as well. I find it interesting because we talk more about gender and sexuality, and we also build up a taste for dark humor. Holocaust memes, slavery memes, World War II and Vietnam memes, and so many others.
Some people cover up who they really are. Some people are open about themselves, and too many are too scared or ashamed to come out. But in the end,
another interesting thing was the memeing of sports. Tebow, the butt fumble, the entire Cleveland Browns franchise all became memes during this era. It's interesting because sports never really became memes, at least not to the extent that they were during the Renaissance era. T-bowling was not only one of the first sports memes of the era, but it also triggered entire movements centered around poses and challenges. Planking, faith healing, you know I had to do it to him, the list goes on, and T-bowling was the one that started all of it. Again, challenges are also really popular during the Renaissance period, especially around the Cinnamon Challenge, the Salt and Ice Challenge, and the Ice Bucket Challenge. No Shave November was also a challenge, reached the peak of its popularity during the Renaissance wave, and No Nut November eventually went on to become a challenge as well. One of the bigger game franchises was Call of Duty, with the most popular of which being Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, arguably two of the best Call of Duty games ever made. Pair this with the disappointment of Halo 4, and ladies and gentlemen, you got yourself the king of first-person shooters. Black Ops 2 was obviously the inspiration for tons of memes during its heyday, with the most notable of which being MLG memes, which I'll just let this say everything. Black Ops 2 was one of the most popular games of the era and was a starting point for so many YouTubers beginning their careers. Channels like Minnesota Burns, Louis Calibre, Thanos, Ali A, Birdman, and so many others all set their roots in Call of Duty. Some of PewDiePie's first videos are actually him playing COD.
Hey, what is up guys? My name is PewDiePie, And yeah, today we're gonna celebrate because I got 100 subscribers.
And clans like FaZe and Optic were at their best when Call of Duty was at its best, and obviously Call of Duty was at its best in the Renaissance wave. No disrespect to Halo Reach because not recognizing the innovations it made with Forge just wouldn't be right, but Call of Duty was frankly just the better franchise this period. So many of my favorite channels were made or at least reached their peaks during this period, including my own. A lot of the channels that I still watch today were actually made during this era. There's no question about how much we all love the golden age of YouTube, but in my opinion, this era of YouTube was definitely a close second. YouTube wasn't demonetizing channels and sending copyright strikes yet, but you still got a lot of creativity, and more importantly, you had everything that the broadcast era had, and you had games. Now, there are a ton of memes that came and went during the Renaissance wave that I could go over, but the two biggest that I want to bring up are Doge and Trollface. Both of these memes actually existed in the broadcast era, but they hit their peaks in the Renaissance wave. Trollface started off as a post on DeviantArt by Carlos Ramirez in 2008. The meme went viral on Reddit, particularly with Rage Comics, and since then the Trollface has spread across every major meme platform on the internet and has since solidified itself as one of the big icons of gaming. Doge is a meme depicting a Shiba Inu that belonged to a Japanese kindergarten teacher. It was posted to her personal blog in 2010. The meme found success on various meme platforms, especially on Tumblr and Reddit, and by 2013 it was one of the biggest memes on the internet. Doge became so popular that in 2015 it literally received its own currency, the Dogecoin. I could talk about Vine's retarded younger brother Musically.
I would roast you, but my mom said I'm not allowed to burn trash.
It's time to stop!
Indie horror games also were on the rise during the Renaissance wave, and it saw the rise of games like Slender Man and Five Nights at Freddy's, both of which raked in millions of views, with Slender Man putting Markiplier on the map and FNAF making him the most popular gaming channel on YouTube. Now, obviously, when it comes to the Renaissance wave, you have to talk about the next generation of console wars.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
Why are you gay?
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
Hear me out. If you think about it, the Renaissance wave console wars is just like Game of Thrones. You're probably going to be quick to hate, but you know what? South Park did it too, so why can't I?
You're a f***ing asshole! You, get out of my garden! I'll shit in your f***ing garden! Go f*** yourself!
Now, any Game of Thrones fan knows that the most important powers in the show were the Lannisters, Starks, Targaryens, and the White Walkers. Now, if you think about it, in the 90s, who was the most dominant gaming company? Nintendo. Nintendo ruled over all the gaming consoles, but then you know what happened? The Wii U came out and Xbox One and PS4 took over. These two duked it out for years, all while PC gaming was on the rise and slowly began to surpass both of them. And you know what house used to rule the world and then got overthrown because of some shitty development? The Targaryens and the Mad King. What happened? Robert's Rebellion. Who emerged as the strongest? The Lannisters and the Starks. Who was the most stacked power in Westeros? The Lannisters. What was the better console? The PlayStation. What was everybody's favorite house in Westeros? The Starks. Who was everybody's favorite console? Xbox. When the Starks and Lannisters went toe-to-toe, who got shit on? The Starks. When Xbox and PlayStation went toe-to-toe, who won in sales? PlayStation. When everybody was duking out who was exiled but had momentum and started to be on the rise in Game of Thrones, Daenerys Targaryen. When Nintendo dropped out of the race after the Wii U, what brought them back and brought them tons of momentum? The Nintendo Switch. All the houses were at war with each other, what was the real threat? The White Walkers. When the console wars were happening, what was the actual threat that threatened to kill both of them? PC. Ladies and gentlemen, Game of Games. I know you guys have probably waited for a while for me to address the elephant in the room here, so I'm gonna say it here. Minecraft was hands down the most influential game of the entire era, and I'd argue that Minecraft single-handedly ushered in the era of gaming for YouTube. Now, Whitelight and JSlat explained Minecraft a lot better than I did, but do I actually have to write an essay about why Minecraft is such a big deal? I mean, again, it speaks for itself. Minecraft is the best-selling video game of all time. Its simplicity, the room it leaves for creativity and cooperation, the music, the nostalgia, everything about the game is what makes it great. I love Trollface, Call of Duty, Doge, and Five Nights at Freddy's just as much as the next guy, and while FNAF was really popular at its height, the impact the game has had not just YouTube but gaming in general widely surpasses that of both Legend of Zelda and Halo, and it pretty much goes without question that Minecraft earns the Meme of the Era award and nomination for Best Meme of all time. When it comes down to it, there's never been a game like Minecraft, and I don't know if there ever will be.
Get the fuck off my board! God fucking damn!
This is where the fun begins.
Alright, so we've entered the dank meme era. For the sake of time, I'm combining the SJW wave and the dank meme war into one singular category because frankly the two go hand in hand. The great meme war, or dank meme war as some people call it, basically ushered in the dank meme era. If you compare a 2005 viral video to a 2010 viral video, or a 2010 meme to a 2015 meme, you wouldn't get that much of a difference, but if you compare a 2013 meme to a 2018 meme, you'll see just what the dank meme war did for memes.
I get dressed in the morning, I'm triggered. I take a shower, I'm triggered. I get in the car, I'm triggered. I go for a walk, I'm triggered. I leave my house, I'm triggered. I sit in my room all day, I'm triggered. I just can't get away from it.
The iconic triggered feminist meme pretty much blew up in the meme community and became a symbol of a lot of people making fun of the liberal snowflake and easily offended feminist stereotype. And for those who don't know what triggered means, the Urban Dictionary defines it as someone having a strong emotional reaction to an event that traumatized them in their past. War veterans having PTSD and getting triggered by fireworks would be an example of triggered. At least, that's what it typically meant. With the SJW wave, the term became a lot more vast, so to speak. So when the meme community saw the video, they turned the word triggered itself into a big fat meme. For my video, I'm going to say that the great meme war started way back in 2015 when Trump first announced he was running for president. No matter when you say it started, there's no doubt that when Trump tweeted this, it escalated to new heights. When Trump put the picture of himself as Pepe running for president, it pretty much took the internet by storm. Pepe started out as a basic broadcast wave meme that largely just depicted a frog, but Pepe suffered from the thing that eventually kills all memes. They turned mainstream. When the memes started getting posted to quote-unquote normie websites like Facebook and Twitter, the meme community took action. Unfortunately, the meme took a far darker turn. Memes of Pepe being associated with the alt-right movement, the KKK, white nationalism, fascism, swastikas, and terrorists started publishing on various meme websites, and it got to the point that the creator of Pepe himself had to intervene. Unfortunately, Pepe, at least at this point, could no longer be saved. Mainstream media took Pepe from the iconic Feels Bad man into a symbol for the alt-right movement, and in many ways, it became synonymous with the Trump campaign. But in the end, the meme community took this as an advantage. With Tumblr still being a pile of melted shit in the corner after getting its ass kicked by 4chan, and iFunny being usurped by Instagram, the Four Horsemen, led by Reddit and 4chan, took on Pepe the Frog as a symbol and went to war. The Great Meme War had a number of notable figures on all sides, and while the Trump Alliance versus CNN and the left was the main conflict, there were several more sides participating in this conflict than just these two. A ton of candidates had memers backing their claim for presidency, with the second most popular candidate behind Trump being the Democrat candidate Bernie Sanders. Bernie's socialist policies and talks about making public education free for college students made him really popular with the younger generations, which was the core demographic for memes. Bernie had the advantage of having much of the meme community supporting him in the race, but in the end, Hillary wound up winning the nomination. With that, the decision became a lot easier. With Trump winning the Republican nomination, the battle lines were drawn and the Great Meme War reached its height. Going into the presidential race, Trump was expected to get his shit kicked in by Hillary. Until, well, he didn't.
Sorry to keep you waiting, complicated business.
Trump's victory in the presidential election officially ended the Great Meme War, and in the end, the Great Meme War proved to the entire world just how impactful the internet can really be. It's important to recognize that I'm not using this as a means to spread my own agenda. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I do find it really interesting to show just how impactful memes actually were on Trump's campaign. Now, you might have noticed that I put the plural word for wars here. It's because while the Great Meme War was the biggest, that doesn't mean it was the only meme war for this era. Another meme war occurred in 2017, and it started when Han Asshole Solo posted this to Reddit. Needless to say, CNN wasn't particularly happy about this, and led to Solo deleting the post and issuing a public apology. When CNN talked about it and explained the situation had de-escalated, you'd think that everything would have calmed down. But with the way CNN phrased it, many members of the meme community took it as an attempt by CNN to blackmail the user.
I've watched with sadness how the Cox News Network has tried to trample over our freedom of expression.
Delete everything.
or be doxxed.
The meme community naturally didn't take this well, and eventually 2 of the 4 horsemen and undisputed kings of memes, 4chan and Reddit, brokered an alliance. But that wasn't all. Lesser participants like Instagram and iFunny helped out, and eventually even Twitter hopped in with the hashtag CNN blackmail movement. With the meme community banding together in an alliance unlike anything the internet had ever seen since the Great Meme War, together they waged the second meme war against CNN.
We have won the Great War. Now we will win the last war.
They launched a series of attacks on CNN, ranging from 1-star reviews to tank their ratings, spreading tweets through the hashtag CNN blackmail movement, and of course, memes. Lots and lots of memes. The quasi-meme war, as I like to call it, pretty much resulted in CNN's reputation going further down the crapper, and Fox News once again displaying the fact that they will look for literally any reason, no matter how stupid it is, to go out and roast CNN. The quasi-meme war further solidified the fact that when the meme community bands together, they have a huge impact. The quasi-meme war obviously wasn't as big as the Great Meme War, but it still led to a lot of people discussing political issues that the meme war brought to the forefront. Issues like freedom of speech and right to privacy being 2 of them. As for who wins the nomination for best meme of all time and the best meme of the dank meme war and the SJW wave, it pretty much goes without saying that it goes to Pepe. Big Red and the feminist movement were big as well, and had Hillary won the election, I probably would have given to another meme, but in the end, the feminists and the left lost, and Trump and the dank memers won. Big Man Tyrone, the 4 horsemen, besides Tumblr, and a lot of other memers rose from the ashes as huge contributing factors, but besides Donald Trump himself, Pepe was the leader. When the future president of the United States actually tweets you, then that's how you know you made it big. But on a more analytical level, Pepe spawned an entire movement centered around the politicization of memes. The Great Meme War went on for an entire year and changed memes forever. It brought politics into memes and sent shockwaves that carried on in the years that followed. And it all started with Pepe. Looking back, Pepe is widely regarded to be one of the best memes of all time. Now, I think I speak for every single decent member of the meme community when I say that I don't approve of what happened with Pepe and the alt-right movement, but just because I don't agree with this doesn't mean that I deny the fact that Pepe was incredibly important to meme culture.
Need that pizza ASAP, Rocky. You get the pizza after you suck my ASAP cookie. And my shit's delivered bone in. It's a wrap for y'all. You think I give a fuck? Come to the restaurant right now. I give you boneless ass whooping.
Rest assured, that title intro is horrible on purpose, but I think it's a pretty accurate representation of just how, well, abstract the abstract wave was. Please note that at this point in the dank meme era, the timeline for memes starts to become a little bit more vague, so I'm going to bring up memes and eras that might not fit with when they reach their peak, largely just to fit the structure of my video, so please just cut me a break here. One parallel that I want to draw is the evolution of memes and the evolution of internet media. Steve Jobs revolutionized phones when he released the iPhone in 2007, and Apple's never looked back since then. Technological advancements reached exponential heights during the 2010s. This, combined with the evolution of social media, were all factors that played key roles in the ever-increasing rate at which memes were born, spread, killed, and evolved. These effects were seen in the meme community, where some memes die off in the span of a few days, while other memes like Bad Luck Brian stuck around for years. YouTube also began to transition from being the user-friendly website it was in the golden age into the big business monopoly it is now. The abstract wave saw a rift form between the creators and corporation. These changes weren't very noticeable in the Renaissance wave, but if you look closely enough, you can start to see where the transition started. I want you to pay close attention to Mr. Riker's video and see if you notice a trend. But more importantly, this is the start of the demonetization era of YouTube. YouTube's incredibly flawed copyright system became more grossly apparent during this period, and it showed in several YouTube channels getting copyright striked and even banned from YouTube for posting fair use content. The Fine Bros 2016 controversy in many ways was a sign of things to come. The copyright strike issue went well into 2018 and 2019, and while it's certainly toned down, it's still a problem in the YouTube community even today. You can usually tell when this rift started to form because the quality of YouTube rewinds went further and further down the shitter. But speaking of YouTube, I think it's time I address the elephant in the room here. PewDiePie versus T-Series. If you know me in real life, you know that I'm an avid supporter of PewDiePie, and you'll see me flexing my Lawai sweatshirt at least once every week. The war between PewDiePie and T-Series to most people outside the meme community, or even the YouTube community for that matter, wouldn't mean much to them, but to others like myself, this war was so much more than just a war between two channels. T-Series, the titan of the Indian entertainment industry and multi-billion-dollar corporation, went head-to-head with PewDiePie, a 28-year-old Swedish gamer and meme historian and undisputed king of YouTube. When T-Series started to challenge PewDiePie for the spot as #1 most subscribed channel, we saw the YouTube community band together unlike anything the entire platform had ever seen before. This was so much more than just two channels fighting for subs, and it was even more than two channels fighting for most subscribed channel on YouTube. This was for the future of YouTube. It was the community of YouTube standing for what YouTube used to stand for. This was the community joining together in an epic showdown that spread across the internet. This conflict rivaled that of even the Great Meme War and became an international phenomenon. While the dank meme war era was finished, that isn't to say meme war ceased entirely. The Reddit Civil War, or the Meme War of 2018, started in March when various memes that were popular on the site like Star Wars, Siege Engine, SpongeBob, and surprisingly even garlic bread went to war with each other. The two main sides were the prequel meme subreddit and the sequel meme subreddit. The war escalated and it got to the point that over 152 other subreddits were participating. Prequel memes had a marked advantage, having over 109 subreddits supporting it, and the sequel memes only having 34. The war continued to escalate for over 48 hours until one of the mods for the subreddits got a dox threat. You already know from the way Reddit reacted to CNN making a similar dox threat that people don't take these things lightly. At this point, both subreddits agreed to call a truce and the war ended. As for the Instagram versus Reddit war, this largely stemmed from both platforms accusing the other of stealing memes and reposting it on their own platform. While it's obviously not as huge as doxing somebody, meme thievery is a crime in the meme community, and blatantly removing watermarks from them makes it even worse. Meme thievery was committed on both sides, but yeah, Instagram was a lot more of the culprit than Reddit was. The war resulted in tons of Reddit users calling out Instagram users for stealing OC, and led to Reddit users making entire memes out of watermarks so Instagram users couldn't remove the watermark. I can't really say precisely when the war ended, but it's largely toned down now. Both of these conflicts go to show that while the meme community can have a profound impact when it's together, the Four Horsemen don't always get along. Regardless, the Instagram versus Reddit meme war kept Instagram in its place as the third best of the Four Horsemen. More importantly, the war saw Reddit defending its title as the king of memes, and it's a title that it continues to hold even today. Some key points for the Afterjet wave was that memes during this wave were almost entirely derived from satire, and there was no first layer meaning behind most of these memes. The reason for why I say first layer is because I'm going to try to break down a few of these memes, but the point is, unlike a lot of political memes you saw in the Great Meme Wars, this in large part was just another Renaissance wave. Memes really started to shift from what they used to be, and they became synonymous with just dark and offensive and at times even gory content. I mean, honestly, we literally turned Logan Paul finding a dead body in the Japanese suicide forest into a meme. Obviously, I'm not going to put this in my video, but memers know what I'm talking about. There are tons of memes from this era that I could break down, like Tide Pods, Uganda Knuckles, or colorized memes, but because of time constraints, I'm only going to do a surface level analysis. If you guys want more analysis on abstract wave memes, let me know in the comment section, and I guess I can see what I can do. Surreal memes and deep fried memes are another example of this. Surreal memes are characterized by the minimalistic style and design, bright and almost vaporwave-like colors, and the unorthodox structure for the captions. Deep fried memes are characterized by the distorted color corrections and twisted and contorted images. The biggest deciding factor that almost guarantees a surreal meme is if you see Meme Man or Orange Man. Orange Man is interesting because it's a reflection of both how political memes still exist and how self-referential memes are. But I'll get into this later in the video. Orange Man stems from the meme community adding an ironic twist to the whole Orange Man bad saying that's meant as a derogatory term towards Donald Trump. The meme community, of course, turned this into a meme, and there you go, Orange Man meme. Meme Man, I think, is the face, no pun intended, of surreal memes. You can almost always tell if you're looking at a surreal meme by seeing Meme Man in it, and you can almost always tell if you're looking at a deep fried meme by seeing the letter B or glowing eyes in it. Surreal memes and deep fried memes, I think, are the embodiment of what the abstract wave is. They were created and gained attention specifically for their absurd and bizarre style, which, if you ask me, are the two words that describe the abstract wave. No meme in all of the abstract wave shows a better combination of these two memes than the Farquaad Zuckerplayer meme, or of course, the E-meme. In my opinion, the E-meme is a strange but effective blend of the two. As much as it might pay me to do so, I gotta give credit where credit is due and give Tumblr props for giving us deep fried memes. These deep fried memes birthed the evolved Shacked Food meme, the Bee meme, and Glowy Eyes meme, so good job Tumblr. Next, I'm going to talk about the E meme. Now, it's easy for you to look at this meme and say, oh, this is just Mark Zuckerberg, Markiplier, Lord Farquaad photoshopped into a deep fried image with the letter E. And yeah, you're right, but it's not just that. I think there's far more to the E meme than one might realize. If I'm overanalyzing this, then sure, feel free to make fun of me, but hear me out, okay? The E meme is part of an ever-growing development in meme culture. E, my fat ass thought this was lasagna, the moth meme, beans, appear, surgery on a grape, Obunga, piss drawer, poop sock, Colgate designer clothes, bottom text, Gilbert, the bee meme, frog, the cursed emoji, They're all examples of memes that on a surface level just look like stupid shitposts, but these are all examples of just how, shall I say, layered memes have become. They're jokes that are funny not just because they're stupid, but because members of the meme community can find them funny.
At last, I am surrounded by people who get me. People who understand me and people who think like me.
That's not to say that quote-unquote normies wouldn't find this funny, but honestly, if you were sitting on a park bench and you had an old-ass man sitting next to you and saw you laughing at this, he'd probably look at you like you were crazy. Anyways, E-meme is a prime example of just how far memes have evolved from what they were before. History memes were obviously a lot more broad than Sans, but I'm gonna bring them up here. I like history memes because as a person who took a history class all 4 years of high school, including now as a senior, I find these pretty funny. I'm gonna go into this more at the end of the video, but I think it's pretty cool because the main creators of memes, at least from the content that I get my memes from, are people around the millennial and Gen Z age group. There are tons of exceptions to this, but part of what makes history memes so funny to me is because I took AP US History, and because I took AP World History, I'm able to get the general idea of these memes, and obviously a lot of people have taken these classes as well. My analysis would pretty lame here, but just bear with me until the end of the video because history memes, in my opinion, I think are a big part of a huge development that I'm going to bring up later. iDubbbz's Content Cop series at its peak in 2017, PewDiePie went over a bunch of controversy, and Musical.ly was replaced with TikTok. Unfortunately, the Musical.ly virus spread to TikTok, but thankfully the meme community was there to help fight this threat. I'm proud to say that I've never given into this trend and installed TikTok, but I do know a lot of people who have used the app. From what they told me, the reason why TikTok is so popular is largely because it's not as communicative as Snapchat or as like-country as Instagram. It's just a place where you can just laugh at funny videos.
Hello, hello, I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
The other meme I'm going to break down is the Chad vs. Virgin meme. This meme is pretty much my chosen meme for depicting the satirical part of the abstract wave I brought up. Obviously, looking at this meme, most can tell that it's satirical, but I think this meme is just more than a shitty drawing with stereotypical captions and traits. I think the Chad vs. Virgin meme is a bigger reflection of contemporary Western culture. Now listen, if you took health class or a similar course, you probably looked into the social contracts of American schools because this stuff kind of funnels into the roots of anxiety and depression. Anyways, in my 10th grade health class, the thing I remember the most was this hour-long 90s documentary about how the athletic jocks pick on the nerdy kids. You had on the tight white t-shirts, the backwards caps, the blue jeans, the one-strap backpack for the jocks, the pimples, skinny and pasty and freckled people with glasses for nerds. The Chad vs. Virgin meme took this and brought it up to an 11. But with the evolution of the internet and video games becoming more ingrained in younger generations, this line, believe it or not, at least from my experience, has blurred. Channels like RDC World and athletes like Juju Smith and gaming channels help push the narrative forward, and now it's cool to watch anime. It's cool to play video games, it's cool to watch Star Wars and Game of Thrones and The Witcher, or it's cool to watch sitcoms about a paper company. Hell, I'll go as far as to say it's cool to watch superhero films now. If you haven't seen a Marvel film, you're the weirdo. If you wear a backpack with one strap, you're the weirdo. Obviously, I myself am going off stereotypes here, but I think the Chad vs. Virgin meme is a satirical reflection of this shift. It's proof in my eyes that memes change and evolve just as society changes and evolves. Speaking of superhero films, another meme that I should bring up is Thanos. Unless you've been living under a rock, you should probably know who Thanos is. But like Sans, Thanos has been the source for so many memes over the last few years. Frankly, a lot of what I have to say about Thanos is pretty much just a restatement of the Chad vs. Virgin meme, but yeah, Marvel made watching superhero movies quote-unquote cool. Another big game in the abstract wave was Fortnite. Fortnite vs PUBG was a source for tons of memes, and good arguments can be made for both sides regarding which one's better, but I think Fortnite takes the victory royale here. As my brother pointed out to me, Fortnite set off a big trend for gaming centered around battle royale games. Fortnite set off a trend where everybody was buying skins and add-on content because if you didn't, you were a fucking loser. They changed the entire gaming community. Call of Duty's popular and all, but nowadays kids are playing Fortnite. If you're like me and detest Fortnite, I can't blame you. The community is pretty much suffered from Minecraft and COD syndrome where it's infested with squeakers, but here's the thing. A lot of people don't like my choice to include Pepe in the video. Pepe is hated by a lot of people, but you can't deny the impact it's had. It would be hypocritical for me to at least not mention Fortnite for the exact same reason. I hate Fortnite, but I'm not going to deny its impact on gaming.
Pigs try to get at you. Park it like it's hard.
Oh my god!
So when it comes to meme of the year, I think it narrows down to Thanos, E, Fortnite, and Big Chungus. It's a tough choice for me, and I know it's a little bit late in the video, but y'all should know that my criteria for meme of the year isn't just about what's popular or what's the best dead meme. If that were the case, then I'd probably give it to Chungus.
I don't hold him all white.
I mean, honestly, do you want Big Chungus to be in the same conversation as Minecraft and Fresh Prince? I know that my decision might step on a few toes here, but I think I'm gonna have to give the nod to Thanos here. Marvel has been the center of tons of memes over the last several years and has become deeply entrenched in the meme community. Thanos is the head of this, and he's right next to Iron Man and Captain America as the face of the MCU. But I'm not picking Thanos as the meme of the era solely because of how significant he is in the MCU. More importantly, Thanos has been subject to so many memes since 2018. He's even more versatile than Sans and any other meme during the action wave, and he's basically ascended to right below Star Wars prequel level where almost everything he says is a meme. Thanos' impact on pop culture and cinema and memes is undeniable. This is more of a bonus thing, but I think my favorite Thanos meme is probably Ant-Man crawling up Thanos' butthole and expanding. Thanos is one of the most famous characters in all of cinema, inside and outside of the meme community. I wouldn't say he's quite on the level of Darth Vader, but I mean, if Thanos got a few more movies where he was the main star and he fucked shit up like he did in Infinity War and Endgame, frankly, you can probably make the comparison. I'm probably jacking off Thanos like crazy here, but yeah, I like Thanos. Anyways, Thanos wins the nomination for Best Meme of All Time and the Best Meme of the Abstract Wave.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you!
Alright, we're almost at the finish line. This is like the Abstract Wave where I have a ton of material to go over and not enough time to go over it, so I'm only going to analyze a few of them. The Generational Wave in many ways was a continuation of the Abstract Wave, but with a few tweaks to it that I think were noticeable enough to give it its own separate era. What I find interesting about the Generational Wave is that it's more of a culmination of years of meme development. Memes made 4 to 5 years ago could qualify as Generational Wave memes, but the way I see it, the Generational Wave was characterized by two things, the future and the past. I'll talk about the past first. You might be asking, whoa, what do you mean by the past? Well, the way I see it, the Generational Wave is a characterization of us as people looking back on our shared experiences in the past. With the end of the decade coming up, a lot of us had to come to the realization of just how fast we were growing up. Much of today's meme community lived out their childhoods and adolescence in the 2000s and 2010s, and it reflected the memes. You saw movies coming out around this wave that, dare I say, took advantage of our nostalgia. Jurassic World, Godzilla, Shrek, Toy Story, The Incredibles, Lion King, and even Mandalorian, as good as it is, were released because many of us who grew up watching it would go to see them, and they knew this. Jimmy Neutron memes, Star Wars prequel memes, I Need a Weapon memes, Here We Go Again memes, This Is Him Now, Fuel Jet memes, Mike Wazowski memes, Minecraft memes, and Lego Star Wars memes are all callbacks to games and icons that were popular when we were growing up.
Who wrote this? Who wrote this lie?
It's a strange way of us reminiscing about our childhoods. Star Wars memes are really interesting because it seems like almost everybody despised the prequels when they first came out. When episode 7 was about to come out, everybody was hopping on the prequel hate bandwagon to go clout chase. No one in particular, of course. But now that Disney came out with the sequel trilogy, all of a sudden everybody's going back and saying, maybe the prequels aren't as bad as everybody says. Granted, Star Wars memes peaked around 2015, but they're still relevant today. If they weren't, then the Reddit Civil War wouldn't have ripped the set apart now, would it? Now, Tom memes are interesting because they're a combination of what I call punchline memes and reactionary memes. In many ways, it's kind of a callback to memes of the past, which a lot of the memes in the generational wave were. Punchline memes were popular in the broadcast and early Renaissance wave, and they centered around the setup of the joke being in the top text and you had the punchline of the joke being in the bottom text. There might be an official word for this, but reactionary memes are basically the ones where it's like, my face when I go blank, or when you're doing blank and blank happens, and they show the face as the reaction for the meme. Tom took these qualities and twisted them. The punchline added a twist to it that really subverted your expectations and added a dark sense of humor to it that became the standard in the dank meme era. Obviously, pissing in your brother's cereal bowl is a lot weirder than skipping through an exam, but you get the idea. Again, the PewDiePie vs. T-Series war started in 2018 but carried into 2019, and the war, to me, was the community fighting for the old YouTube where content creators ran the website, as it was in our childhood. The Club Penguin has killed me was another example of this when Club Penguin made the decision to shut down its site after a decade of being up. A lot of people went online for the first time in years to say goodbye to the game that was such a big part of their childhoods, including my own. I'm not going to go in depth about this one, but Boy Boy West Coast song Used at the Club is pretty cool because it gives you that weird 2000s vibe. Like, it reminds you of something your mom would play when she's picking you up from school, or something you play at a summer party, you know what I mean?
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
The Change the World meme is by far one of the most unorthodox memes in the wave, and you can make a fair argument for it belonging in the abstract wave. Change the World's origins are widely unknown, with two of the most reputable meme sources having different perspectives. Lessons in Meme Culture did a separate video on this, which I think y'all should definitely go check out, and he said it came from Tumblr. Know Your Meme said it started off as an image macro on Reddit's Cursed Image subreddit. By November 2018, the caption was added featuring a caption box from PlayStation's 1999 video game Racing Lagoon. By August 2019, the meme was completed featuring a robotic and surreal voice audio, most likely from text-to-speech, background music from the PS2's 2001 game Silent Hill 2, and the Windows 95 startup sound. When I was looking at this meme, I couldn't help but try to analyze what makes this meme so unique. What device does this meme use to be able to give both a surreal, otherworldly sense of nostalgia and an obscure sense of melancholy at the same time? The term that I would use to describe this is fairly unknown, but it's a German-rooted word called Sehnsucht. There are several definitions for the word, but the definition I'm going to go with is the Wikipedia definition. The word Sehnsucht means to represent thoughts and feelings about all facets of life that are unfinished or imperfect, paired with the yearning for ideal alternative experiences. I think this definition is fairly broad, and judging from the article, it seems like this is centered more towards what you aspire to be in the future more than anything else, but one thing that I do want to mention is the sense of incompletion and imperfection. A lot of us wish we could go back to our childhoods, or we could go back to the past and do things differently, to relive the glory days where you live life stress-free. I think Sehnsucht is a good starter, but the main word that I want to describe this meme is vicarious nostalgia. In general, nostalgia refers to a sentimental longing or wistful affection for the past, typically for a period or place with happy personal associations. We as humans have a tendency to skew our past to remember only the positive memories and filter out some of the negative experiences we had because they don't fit the mold for what we like to think our past was. Nostalgia usually refers to experiences you had in your childhood when life was good, when everything was simpler. It gives us a bittersweet sense of happiness and sadness at the same time. We feel happy because we think back to how much fun we had, but we feel sad because we wish we could go back, but we know we can't. Vicarious nostalgia is a little different though. Vicarious nostalgia refers to a past that we didn't have because it occurred prior to or outside the span of one's memory, but is relatable and has sentimental value due to repeated mediated exposure to it. This term I think sums up Change the World perfectly. You feel nostalgic when you look at this meme, not necessarily because it directly reminds you of your childhood, but because it references the past, primarily the late 90s and 2000s, which many associate with their childhood. You don't have to play Silent Hill or have Windows 95 or even own a PlayStation to feel nostalgic about this meme. I was born in 2001, so I was too young to experience any of these things, but the meme makes me feel nostalgic all the same. I don't have much to say about the image macro itself because, as we've seen before, the image macro is the only thing that changes, meaning that it clearly isn't the most important part of the meme. I think it's just a shitpost of a rat smoking a cigarette and not much more. However, the fact that the figure is disappearing brings out a weird sense of unease when I view it. You're filled with nostalgia and bittersweet emotions as you're blasted with music and sound effects, then they fade away. Even the shitty frame rate at which the image fades away is reminiscent of those old 8-bit and blocky games with clunky physics and animations. It's not fluid or continuous, it's intermittent and poorly put together on purpose. We look back and reminisce about our time as kids, a simpler time, a less stressful time, a happier time, a better time, and then you're faced with the reality that all of these memories from the past and all of these experiences fade away. If you ask me, I think this meme is the perfect representation of the generation wave. It might not have been the most iconic, it might not have been the most popular meme even at its peak, and given the rapidly evolving meme culture and right now, I wouldn't be surprised if most people even forgot about this meme to begin with. I can't make any promises on whether or not this meme will get the nomination for best meme of all time, but I will say this was my favorite meme of the generational wave. The meme is able to fill you with so many subtle but complex and mixed emotions and feelings and thoughts in the span of just a few seconds. It accomplishes more than any meme I have literally ever seen. Change the World in a weird way reminds me of Vaporwave. It has that surreal, relaxing vibe to it that's basically synonymous with Vaporwave. Speaking of Vaporwave, that was another thing that got big during this era. The Renaissance wave kind of kicked down the door for talks about depression and mental illness, and to an extent, maybe this plays into Vaporwave edits. I know this is mostly ironic, but The Simpsons edits being intertwined with sadness and depression and other dark emotions got big, and I think this plays into memes becoming a coping mechanism for people. Sad Nibba Hours, Simpsons edits, and the rise of artists like XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD, and Shadow Dynasty got big. Cries for help and unhealthy coping mechanisms became a way for us to talk about these things. I'll confess that while I was lucky enough not to suffer from depression, memes helped me through a lot of rough points in my life. The whole "keep your head up, king, your crown is falling" is an example of people helping others out after dealing with toxic relationships and breakups and rejections. I'm a hermit, so I can't relate to any of these, but I think this shows how tightly knit the meme community has become over the recent years. Tons of other memes came out during this era that were callbacks to previous eras. The revitalization of the Doge meme in the dank meme era is another example of this. The Doge meme came around in 2012 and 2013, hit its peak, and then died for years, but then saw a rebirth in 2019 with a far more dark twist to it. Also, Minecraft came back. I mean, seriously, Minecraft came back. Who saw this coming? Like, remember when it was cool to roast kids who played Minecraft and everybody's making memes about the cringy kids who went to Minecon?
I was wondering, what's the recommended amount of dedicated RAM I should have to a server?
Yeah, I brought it up in the abstract way, but now it's cool to play Minecraft. Crazy, right? I couldn't think of a much better name for the other category other than future, but this segment's mostly about memes once again becoming politicized. With the 2020 election coming up and a ton of stuff swirling around Trump, it makes sense for political memes to return. Of course, with the new election comes a new crop of memes, but they revolve less around the candidates and more around the topics. Greta Thunberg's rant to the UN about global warming and the whole "how dare you" thing became a meme. The Trump and impeach meme refers to Trump's impeachment in the House of Representatives, and the whole Area 51 raid. The Area 51 raid is a little bit less direct though. The entire conspiracy behind the government hiding aliens in Area 51 I think stemmed from a lack of trust in the federal government, leading to many people going out and saying, "Oh yeah, the government's hiding things from us," and boom, aliens.
The average age of this 52nd Parliament is 49 years old. Okay, Boomer.
This is offensive. It's ageism.
Okay, Boomer. Okay, Boomer started off as a common term, obviously, to mock boomers. Oh, you get a lecture about how ungrateful and spoiled you are? Oh, you hear them telling stories about how tough it was to get to school? Oh, they tell you about how your taste in music is trash and that you don't have to work hard now? Okay, Boomer. Simple. The origins of OK Boomer are largely unknown, but the popular theory was that it started in 4chan in 2015 and Reddit in 2017, the Queen and King of memes respectively. But it really didn't start to catch fire until it showed up on Twitter of all places when a Twitter user responded to a tweet from Turning Point USA member and conservative advocate Charlie Kirk. From there, the saying spread to various meme websites and you gained attraction to get a song made, then the song spread to TikTok, and from TikTok, well, yeah, when anything gets big on TikTok, it gets big everywhere. It spread throughout the internet to the point that there's even OK Boomer merch being sold. OK Boomer is often associated with politics, and I think the whole Boomer equals conservative and Gen Z equals liberal stereotype play into that. Obviously, OK Boomer didn't play well with boomers, and I think Bob Lonsberry's tweet is pretty much the best way to describe it. OK Boomer started up as a satirical joke that the boomers took seriously and got upset about, and naturally when you get triggered over a meme, that only spawns further memes. I mean, why do you think Tumblr is a laughingstock of the meme community? OK Boomer is interesting because it has tons of implications behind it despite literally being only a two-word phrase. The OK Boomer meme is synonymous with Gen Z. Sorry millennials, but y'all take credit for enough shit as 90s kids, so this is our thing. Anyways, OK Boomer is another meme that exemplifies just how memes that look basic and stupid from the outside actually have a lot more going for them. The whole less is more thing is best shown here, where OK Boomer has had a massive impact on pop culture and took over memes when it was at its peak. OK Boomer really is one of a kind. Memes can transcend basic image macros and GIFs, and you don't have to have an image with a funny caption to be a meme, and OK Boomer is an example of that. Gosh, this says a lot about our society. Now, for meme of the era, it comes down to OK Boomer and Change the World. This is a pretty difficult decision for me, and again, if I could pick two, I would do so. But when I was making this video, I promised myself I wouldn't make this exception, and if I were to do it for one era, I would have to do it for all of them. So after a solid 10 minutes or so of thinking, I'm gonna have to go with OK Boomer here. I still stand by the fact that Change the World is my personal favorite, and I think it better fits the mold for what the generational wave was, but if I were gonna go with what fits the mold better, I would have gone with the E-meme and the abstract wave, but I didn't. The point is, Change the World lasted for a week and a half and then died. OK Boomer broke the internet for 2 months. To think that just 2 words can have this much of an impact really shows how impactful memes can be. I think this is another example of the younger generations using memes as a medium to voice their disapproval and opinion on various events that are transpiring in the world today. I spent a few days talking to other meme connoisseurs in my school about the topic, and they brought up a few interesting points. One of which is what I like to call Thomas's Boomer Theory. As he put it, the OK Boomer meme is not an attack on boomers. It's a satirical criticism of a dispositional mindset of people who stick to traditionalist values and don't accept the ever-changing world around them. When it comes down to it, OK Boomer is the meme that we're going to remember the most a few years down the line. No one's going to really care about Change the World as much as I like it. With that being said, for the final wave of my video, I'm giving OK Boomer the nomination for Best Meme of All Time and the winner of the Best Meme of the Generational Wave. With the video coming to the end, I encourage all of you to take a moment to think about just how far we've come. From 1945, and perhaps even before then, it really is crazy to look how much memes have changed and how much we've changed. With the dank meme era in full swing, we're seeing an ever-growing rift that's forming between the meme community and mainstream pop culture. E is just one of many memes that have become so self-referential that people outside the meme community wouldn't find it funny, but people inside the meme community would find it hilarious. I find comedy with inside jokes to be the most funny because only a select group of people can get them. SAT memes, ACT memes, AP test memes, and as I said before, even history memes are a few. We like to be able to relate to others because some of the best comedy comes from relatability. Why do you think that When You memes were so big for so long? Now, this is a theory of mine, so please take this with a grain of salt, but hey, it's my video and I'll say what I want. I'd argue that while the demographic for memes is staying the same, the generation in charge of memes are what's changing. For example, the All Your Base Are Belong to Us was targeted towards younger audiences who play video games. Broadcast wave videos were targeted towards younger audiences who use YouTube. But the younger generations who played Zero Wing, or the younger generations who use YouTube in the golden age, are now grown-ass adults now. Perhaps I'm wrong, but if you were to say 16 when Zero Wing got big in 1998, you're 38 years old now. If I'm wrong here, then please feel free to roast the shit out of me, and I know there are exceptions to this, but I don't think 38-year-olds are the people who are creating memes and distributing memes now. I'd argue that that responsibility is for the millennials and Gen Z now. Memes evolve and grow with each generation that takes up what I call the mantle of memology. They grow to fit with the developments that age groups that make memes live through. One of the biggest contributors to my theory of memes was Ian Sloan. When he spoke to me about the evolution of memes, he gave me a graphic of his that I think the video would be incomplete without. The graphic that you're seeing here is what I call Sloan's meme cycle. Obviously, the cycle is continuous, but he went really in depth from the evolution of memes in 2004 to 2019. A lot of us grew up with memes. They were small, simple, easy to read, captivating, etc. People liked this idea, but as the internet grew up, so too did memes. Millennials and Gen Zers, we had the advantage of growing up with the internet. We had more of an impact on meme culture than anyone before us, and potentially anyone after us. As we grew up, we were exposed to the reality of the world that we live in. With the world becoming more globalized, it's hard to ignore the bad in the world. We're not ignorant to the Chinese concentration camps, the starving kids in Africa, the terrorist attacks in Europe and Middle East, the global warming, the fires in Australia, the burning of the Amazon, or the dictatorships that continue to oppress millions of people around the world. These are all things that sooner or later we're gonna have to deal with. Memes have become sort of a coping mechanism for us because when we were young, they made us smile. It makes sense why the generational wave happened. The generational wave came right at the turn of the decade when the reality of the massive weight that's being placed on our shoulders smacks us in the face. When face to face with this responsibility, it's natural to want to go back to our times as kids. Memes have evolved so much this decade, and now that we're entering 2020 and we're entering a new decade, there's no telling where memes will go from here.
Pulling out the coupe at the lot, Tony fuck 12 fuck SWAT, busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box, had to put the stick in the box. Pour up the whole damn field, I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deals, we been trapping like the 80s.
That whatever life that you want, you strive for that shit. You make sure you go for that shit. Don't let anyone tell you it's not possible. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not practical. You make sure that you go for it. You hungry? You want it? Then get it! Get that shit!
When it comes down to it, memes are so much more than a funny picture. They're more than a GIF. They're more than a video. They're more than a content creator, an artist, or a musician. They're more than a video game. They're more than a console, they're more than an entire website, they're more than the entire fucking presidential election, and hell, even the internet itself. Whether you choose to accept it or not, memes are a staple for every generation that adopts them. Gen Zs and millennials, memes are one of the things that define our generation. 20 to 30 years down the line, memes are one of the huge things that we're gonna be remembered for. I wouldn't be at all surprised if I was opening my kid's history textbook and seeing Pepe in there somewhere. Memes are such an integral part of the world today, I honestly could not imagine the internet without them. As we enter the new decade, there's an important message I have. To all my fellow Gen Zers and to all the millennials and to everybody who loves memes just as much as I do, understand that a lot of our lives will be shaped in these next 10 years. Some of us will go off to college, some of us will have full-time jobs, some will be big-time business owners or successful artists, some of us will have families with a spouse and children. The coming decade is not without its problems, and the odds might be stacked against us, but if there's anything memes have taught us, it's that we all have the power to change the world. This whole project reminds me of a quote. I can't remember who said it, but it was from Vsauce's iconic video, What Will We Miss? In the video, he talks about the things that our generation, or the people that grow up today, are going to miss out on. But he also talked about things that the future generations will miss out on. I implore you guys to go watch this video because it's one of my favorite videos Vsauce has ever made, but in the comment section, someone said a quote that really resonated with me, and it goes something like this. We were born too late to explore the world, we were born too early to explore the universe, but we were born right on time to explore dank memes. Oh my god, I finally did it. I'm not trying to sound like an ass right now, I swear, but I put so much effort in this video, and I'm really happy that I just sat down and got this thing done. You know what I mean? Like, I was barely hanging on at the end, and y'all could probably tell, like, the editing got a lot lazier towards the end, but hey, I made it through, right? But in all seriousness, the reflection that you're seeing right here is basically my final thoughts on the video before it gets uploaded. In truth, I have no idea how this video will do. I have no idea how it'll be received. I have no idea if it'll even stay on YouTube. I know full well that the video might get copyright striked. I know that my channel is small and I get like 15 to 20 views per video. And no matter how hard I worked on it, it could just be another grain of sand in the vast expansive beach of YouTube. And it could be forgotten entirely. I know full well that it isn't the best edited, it's not the best written, it's not the best recorded, and I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't a little bit nervous about this whole thing, but I'm willing to take that risk anyways. No matter what happens, I'm glad that I did this project, I'm glad I made this video, and I'm glad that I pushed through and finished it, and more importantly, I'm glad that I have the opportunity to put this video onto YouTube. In all seriousness, thank you so much for watching this video. Even if you just skip until the end, like, I still got my view, right? But yeah, really though, like, thank you all so much for watching this video and seeing it until the end. Thank you for supporting me throughout this entire process and me being on YouTube. I really do appreciate everything you guys have done for me, you know. It really does mean a lot to me. Thank you all so much for watching YouTube, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.